CERO is not looking to become the world's biggest hauler of compostable materials, right? Look at what we're doing. We're making a living, barely. We're getting somebody to pay us to pick up their material, and then we're paying to export it to the guy who turns it into composted soil products that we buy back from him. So now we've paid him twice. We're exporting it to him.
Yeah.
He's adding value to it, and then we're buying it back. I want all that to be us. Not necessarily CERO, but I want this to be a more local infrastructure.
Yeah.
I want us to be able to aim for vertical integration so that CERO Co-op, picks up the material and we process it ourselves.
My jersey up too high in the rafters. I got a front team, new life and a tractor. Still sipping that moonshine and I'm plastered.
Welcome back to another episode of the Moonlighters Club. I am here with Lor. Thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. We're in Boston. This is the most like Massachusetts interview so far. We're doing this with the Boston Ujima project. So thank you to the Boston Ujima project first of all for existing, and then second of all for setting these interviews up. They've all been great, and we're doing this one in Boston, heart of Boston. Marathon finish line's like right over here.
That's right.
We're in the library, in the innovation lab. We're doing it. You're coming from Revere, coming from JP. We're like covering everything.
That's right.
Yeah. So
we're on the train circuit. Just
exactly.
Crossing paths.
When I was a kid, I used to get mad when, because I would go to camps in like Maine or just like random areas, and people go, "Oh, I'm from Boston." I'm like, "Oh, what part?" And they're like, "Oh, Marblehead or Worcester or Chelsea."
Right. So that don't count.
So I see what I'm saying. But then the older I get, the more I realize it's not just Boston. Like the most Boston-sounding people I met are like on the South Shore. Like they're not even.
The accent is definitely, the Kennedys were in Hyannis, right?
Exactly. It's all over the place. So it's really this whole contingent. So, who are you representing today?
I am representing CERO Cooperative.
Nice. I call it CERO Cooperative because I can't do my R's at all. But what do you all do?
CERO Co-op was started in Roxbury by black and brown immigrant entrepreneurs.
Nice.
Who, wanted a piece of green-collar jobs, which they thought could be possible and didn't see anybody else generating. And it certainly wasn't happening in their community, which has been an environmental justice community for as long as there's been words to say environmental justice. And out of that grew this business geared around helping universities and restaurants and grocery stores make the most of their food waste. Food waste is a huge problem environmentally. If you throw it in the landfill, the methane is one of the most toxic greenhouse gases. There's a lot of reasons we don't want food waste.
Yeah.
And while we should do everything we can to reduce that waste, there's always going to be the onion skins and the residuals.
Yeah.
What most people don't know is that this so-called waste is also a valuable resource. So, first what you try to do is feed people with it. If it's not going to be edible for people, you try and feed animals with it.
Yep.
If you can't feed animals with it, you should re-earth it. You should make sure that it is appropriately separated out from bad things in the trash and converted into beautiful compost. Composted soil actually could save the planet in many ways. Probably a lot of people say that, but for real, we could replenish so much soil on the earth, sequester so much carbon. I could go on and on.
There's so many.
That's what we do.
We're both going to go in on this because there's so many things. I'm super green now.
All right.
When I was younger, and you remember what this area was like, Boston was pretty dirty. And I used to litter when I was a teenager. Probably because I was a jerk. And then you just like the earth Captain Planet. It'll be here forever.
The Earth. It's an ashtray. What?
Yeah. And now I am so, like, I get really angry.
Do you put a banana peel in your pocket until you get to a place where...
If I'm with people who throw stuff on the ground, I pick it up, put it in my pockets. I hate it. And I'm super conscious about Earth. Like, you just, like, yeah, I get it. You know, some of these things take time. And it's not calamity. But it's like, I used to want to do zoology, so I love animals. So, like, I'm always checking to see what's endangered and what's not. But another big one is waste. So when I think about composting all the time, because I'm always looking at the day I learned that recycle bins and trash didn't work the way I thought they did. I'm like, all right, we got to do something. Like when someone's like, no, I just throw that away. It's not done right. I'm like, what? And then I'm learning where all this stuff is going.
Yeah. That
there's plastic in the air. That there's these giant mountains of garbage and islands of garbage. So I think about ways to like what's being done.
Have you like trying to ban yourself from plastics?
I need to. I was bad. I need two things. I need a seltzer water maker in my house because I drink seltzer water. That's just, I'm classy like that. I like the bubbles.
Well, if you can't, until you get the seltzer maker, you can do aluminum cans because at least they're highly recyclable.
I do cans.
Way better than plastic.
The plastic I'm going to have to not do anymore is water. Like, no water bottles.
You know, I was here looking for water. I was like, damn, I didn't bring my bottle.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to buy water bottles just because of my personal code.
So, yeah, we're going to get into this. I can talk about this all the time. So, how did you, like, in terms of, like, day-to-day work, were you always in like big on the environment? Like, is compost something that's like stuff that you're like, no, I always talk about stuff like this. So like working with...
I have not. This is the first time I've been employed in the area of environmental stuff.
Okay.
I've been dipping in and out of activism. But back in my day when I was younger, I was active in the anti-nuke stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But I had a big problem with the environmental movement not overlapping with the racial justice movement.
Yeah.
And I've always been, more in challenging white supremacy systems and making sure that that's where I was putting my energy. So that didn't match with environmental stuff. That's changed. It's changed a lot. We have great organizations here in Boston now that are BIPOC led. Not only CERO, but like ACE.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with ACE? They've done so much around environmental justice issues. Everything from monitoring for asthma in their neighborhoods. How much are all these diesel buses making our kids sick and all that kind of stuff. So now it really fits. Yeah. I lucked into this because I applied for a job.
Nice. When
the founders were looking for a startup manager.
Yeah.
That's how I got on this train.
Isn't it wild that Richard Nixon started the EPA? Oh my God. Like, he didn't start it, but you know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't have remembered that even.
There's little nuggets I learned about the environment. I'm like, it was him?
Well, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was him. Like, I'm like, what? Like, especially that time. I'm like, bro, it was like gas shortages.
there must be a podcast about that somewhere. We can find out what the real deal was.
So, random question. We've had a few interviews with other associates of the Ujima project. And there is an issue with food, where food comes from, the type of food in certain communities. You think food deserts are intentional?
Just like everything's intentional.
It's crazy.
Just like everything is. And things lead to the same structural issues, back and back and back and back. That's why it gives me hope to be with something like Ujima and the ecosystem that Ujima is creating. Proud that CERO Co-op is part of the Ujima portfolio, and proud for, that I've been able to be involved in helping Ujima get going from the beginning of it. And just like, they're actually putting together participatory economy. They're actually, achieving a democratic economy, demonstrating that it's possible.
Yeah.
And likewise, CERO Co-op exists in a lot of ways to demonstrate that it's possible that grassroots, working class people who are fighting their own oppression can create jobs with worker ownership, doing things that make our communities more sustainable. That's like where it's at. Like, to being able to be part of that, as small as we are, sometimes it's hard to feel our impact. But when you back off and see where we were 10 years ago, there wasn't a CERO co-op working yet. We were in the process 10 years ago, but we started our operations in 2014.
Yeah, a good point you hit on. I feel like there's two things that are really big now. We're going to talk about the environment throughout this interview, but also workers' rights. Like, I still can't believe we're doing this. There's outside of the stuff you hear about Kellogg, and it's the fact that people are like, we got to boycott Kellogg, and I'm like, I just can't eat cereal then because they own everything,
right, and probably a lot more than the cereal. We just don't know it, right?
There's an Instagram page I follow called Working Class History, and it's about everything from famous strikes, walkouts, sit-ins, boycotts across the world. It's probably one of the most graphic, brutal things, like what's been done to workers.
Yeah.
Outside of CERO, what has your experience been like in terms of having a say in the workplace? Because for me, I just got to a company, like 38, been in the workforce since I was a teenager. I just got to a company where I feel great. Everyone's valued. It's like not top-down management. It's really open. This is the first. So outside of that, what's your experience been in those spaces?
Oh, wow. So kind of different. When you hear my story, you'll understand that I have never had an intentional plan.
Nice. Let's hear it.
When I first came up to Boston, I dropped out of school and came to Boston. I was looking for a job. And I heard about this job that was a union job. I was 19.
Okay.
And this job paid $12.50 an hour. That was like a lot of money.
Yeah.
This is the late 1970s. And so I got a job as a school bus driver.
Okay.
So that was also happened to be the best education I could ever get. I could go on a tangent about how great it was to be a school bus driver in Boston in the 70s and have this amazing experience in desegregation, forced busing.
Was that, you would?
All about it. We used to go to schools with, police, escort, convoys. But the connection with the labor movement was that we were the first school bus drivers that were union organized in the country, I believe.
Wow.
And we were steel workers.
Okay, wow.
We got organized by the steel workers, became our union. And it was very exciting. I think we went on strike like every other year or something. It was quite radical. And it was a great, I was young at that time, 19, 20, 21 years old. I was there for 9 years. And that was a workforce that fought for a lot. But of course we didn't win all the time. Yeah. We were certainly challenging power and trying to figure it out and organizing. It was interesting. It was a very diverse workplace. We certainly didn't win control of the companies by any means, but we fought for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we stuck together, and that was really interesting. And then I worked as an independent contractor for a while, and then I went over to the nonprofit industrial complex, and I worked in a collective.
Okay.
A very good organization that I won't name drop about because the next thing I'm going to say isn't that shiny, which is that it was pretty dysfunctional and challenging and hard to work in. But I learned a lot.
Nice, yeah.
And then I had another job in nonprofit where we had a official hierarchy, but tried to have more of a, maybe like where you work now, to sort of have a more horizontal, everybody's input is valued. We felt that we needed certain structures for teams and supervision and stuff like that because of the accountability. We wanted to build in accountability. So now it gets kind of boring. But then when I had an opportunity to come over to CERO and be part of the whole group, learning how to be a worker-owned cooperative, going through that process, with all these, it was about 12 people in the beginning. And we got support to go through a process of co-op education and learning how to own a business together. We came from such different backgrounds. And it was a beautiful thing. Putting together our documents of incorporation, making decisions about our bylaws, putting together our employee policies. And all those things we continue to work on to this day as we also continue to bring new members, new worker owners into the business.
Nice. So what is that? How does that affect like day to day being worker owned? Like what is like a voting system in terms of things? How do you do it? Yeah. How do you make decisions?
It's hard because we're still very small. and we experience our operational model is challenging because we have some people who work from 4 a.m. until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No.
Some people who work from like 2 to 7, and then other people who work like a lot of the time. I'm working remotely or running around, doing meetings and more of the external stuff. So it's very hard to get everyone together. So we have a time once a week where we get together for co-op education and spend a couple of hours together on Wednesdays with the whole group, having lunch together and acclimating the newer people and all that kind of stuff. And then the rest of the time we have something that could happen in a lot of workplaces, which is we have multiple meetings so that teams can get things done, project groups can get things done, stuff like that.
So what is the work of composting? You have a business. What exactly?
Well,
what do you do?
So we've got to get customers.
Okay.
So our team, studies the market for composting. We were inspired to get into this market because we saw opportunity when the state announced a mandate that generators of a certain amount, it was 1 ton or more of food waste a week, were going to be required to separate and compost that material.
Okay.
So we built our brand around being good at helping businesses and institutions become good at composting.
Okay.
So we train people, we've set up systems, we provide the equipment for how do you separate that material, keep it clean. Source separation is the key. Mm-hmm. So we know how to make it work. So we do an assessment to see what level of service they need. We go in and we train, whether it's the back of the house food prep staff. A lot of times we're working with folks in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we're working with folks in facilities, in larger buildings and places like that. And then the core of our service is we operate a fleet of trucks, large and small, that are custom built to handle this organic material, and we provide the pickup services. We clean out all the equipment, and we collect that material, make sure everything's going good, and we truck it from Boston to a couple of different farms, 20 to 30 miles away.
Okay.
One of those farms, we tip the truck and leave the beautifully source separated pre-consumer compost where it's eaten by cows and pigs at a farm. So that's called highest and best use for that material, right? That's material that before we were there was going in the trash. The other farm that we take the material to is a composting facility. And I don't assume that people know about windrow composting. These are large farm-based facilities where they have plows and backhoes and trucks and all kinds of equipment and land where they combine leaves and yard waste. And, those are compostable materials as well with the food scraps, which our composting partner calls the secret sauce that adds nutritional value to all that other, what you call brown and green waste, whether it's, grass or we have a couple of customers who are landscapers. So when they go to do an installation, they take out the old grass and this and that, or when they put a farm away for the winter time, there's material there that is better composted than put in the trash. And in the city, people have to make it go somewhere. For the most part, people are not doing their own on-site composting.
Yeah.
So that's our model. We work with the larger customers who want to source separate that and have it re-earthed. And we also often in the growing season will, after we tip at the composting facility, we'll pick up this beautiful, rich composted soil products and bring it back to the city to support urban farming.
Nice.
Food loop, closed loop, and
Park.
Jobs created all along the way.
Yeah.
We got to say, it's economic development too.
It's like what the Lion King was about.
That's right.
If I was a salesperson, I'd feel like I'd rock it. I'd just be like, look, if you don't do this, you're killing all of us.
Well, come on and come on and work with us. We're hiring.
You're killing
We are hiring, by the way.
Nice.
Truck drivers.
How big is the team?
The team should be 9 or 10, and right now we're at 7.
Okay.
So we need some people. We need somebody to help us with customer success.
Okay. Yeah.
and truck drivers. And we're looking for a bookkeeper.
There you go.
Any WMBE bookkeepers out there? Find me.
All right. I like that. So, yeah, the little girl could be good. And then is this cycle a daily thing, like a weekly thing?
You know, we have customers that we serve 7 days a week.
Wow.
Customers that we serve, once every other week. It really varies. We're working with about 85 customers, 80 to 85, I lost track. And we're harvesting 100 tons of material a week.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Do you have common customers? Like, is it?
We have many colleges and universities.
That's the first thing I was assuming school would probably
Northeastern, Babson, LaSalle, Boston University.
Yeah.
We work with several grocery stores, Wegmans.
Yeah. Love Wegmans.
America's Food Basket.
Ah.
AFB in Geneva, in Fields Corner, was our first customer.
Wow. Nice.
And I think our second customer was Commonwealth Kitchen. Shout out to Commonwealth Kitchen.
Nice.
Beautiful Food Loop Innovation Center. Boston Public Market.
Oh, okay. Is that the one over
So
there?
it's varied. And then we have the B Corps, so the bigger fancy corporations that don't necessarily generate a lot of food waste, but they want to check it off the box that they're composting. So we work Amazon, Facebook, and then we have hospitals.
Yeah.
So any place that people eat, that's where we're working. Senior residences is a good customer for us.
Yeah.
They're doing cafeteria food. They're generating a lot of food waste. Carney Hospital. I could go on and on.
You have a lot of clients.
We have a lot of clients.
Yeah, you do need. Yeah, you all need to apply like now. It's a lot. The school.
And we're in growth mode. Yeah.
Who handles the training of teaching? Like, this is how you throw stuff away.
It's a team approach.
Yeah.
It's generally, handled initially by our sales team.
Yeah.
Who are out there doing the assessments, getting to know the customers. But the drivers participated. Everybody, that's the thing about worker ownership, right? When you feel like you're doing your job, even though they work so hard, it's physical work, it's hard work.
Yeah.
They also feel a sense of ownership. They feel bought in. They want to help. And same thing with our customers who we train in the kitchens. They feel really bought into it.
Oh, okay.
There's, people should feel proud about doing this stuff. It's not that much extra work. It's just about once you get that system set up, it only makes sense to do it like that.
Is there...
And our customers save money, right? They save money on their trash so they can afford to pay us.
Is there a struggle to get... Where I'm coming from with this is some people don't believe in climate anything. So do you find it is there a pushback to just the general acceptance of this as a thing when are you seeing a change?
I don't think we put a lot of energy into customers that don't want to do it, into gaining them. I think we leave that to the policymakers. The Department of Environmental Protection are the ones who ought to be enforcing the requirements in order to reduce waste, right?
Yeah.
And there's this requirement that people separate it. And so, I know that their resources are limited.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of enforcement yet on this front. But, more people are coming in the door than we are chasing.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How has working here changed your view, or has it affected the way you see things environmentally? Or is it, because I've worked at companies where I'm like, oh my God, I know. Like, I work a lot of retail. Now I know retail's awful, and I've been on the other end of Black Friday, so I don't go. In terms of being here, has it? I mean, you seem like you've already been in the loop in terms of
I've learned so much, during this decade with CERO. I feel like, I've always, if I was asked, I would call myself an environmentalist or an environmental justice warrior or whatever that would be. But I never had the depth of knowledge in a particular area the way I do now. I always knew air pollution was bad and I should try and get an electric car when I can. Of course, I'm not getting out of the car altogether because I'm not that good.
Yeah.
But so I'm far from perfect on the environmental stuff, but I'm learning a lot. And I'm learning a lot about greenwashing. I'm learning about how much fake so-called environmental action is happening out there. This industry is notorious. The trash industry is notorious, right? And turning that ship into one that's greener is not going to happen by itself. I mean, I think that like the business model that CERO is doing and some of the other smaller companies that are doing residential composting, but by and large, the competition on the larger contracts are deploying solutions that are much less green, that are not the right way. What are you going to do? Somebody's going to get mad at me for whatever I say when they listen to this, but that's all right. That's all right. You know, for us, instead of focusing on that stuff so much, although we do try to make our way to the tables where they're doing policy work, because we think that those are the things that are going to help. Yeah. So I spend a fair amount of time, you know, testifying at hearings and, you know, talking to people about zero waste and the role of composting and all of that. But I think that
before.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wow.
We do that a lot.
Oh.
Sometimes it gains us customers. I mean, that's not the primary motivation, but we're actually trying to build an infrastructure that's greener rather than trying to deal with people retrofitting a trash infrastructure and calling it composting or doing the right thing. So it's very difficult, I won't lie, to try and make that infrastructure happen on the scale that we're at. And scaling it up, as you know, gets into economic and environmental justice issues and, you know, more capital to the CEROs of the world.
That's that's where I feel defeated is policy. I mean, I grew up in Boston, this area.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, there's like one guy who was mayor for 1,000 years. Everybody loved it. And it's pretty like, well, this is just the way things are. And then being in D.C. now, and just being older and reading the news and seeing it, like, okay, now I just kind of understand how these things work and how things get pushed ahead. And it feels like that whole thing is a grind in itself. The convincing, the communicating, you know. So, but it's so necessary.
Yeah.
Either the more, when I used to be the whole, just burn it all down. It sucks. I hate voting. Whatever.
Right.
And you realize, look, if I don't have anything that can replace what we currently have, it's just going to be a bunch of fires. That's it. Like, so I have to attempt to work within this to see if any of these things work. And now you are seeing incremental things. The mayoral race in Boston, like you just have,
right.
You know, just the different, looking at a flight and seeing carbon emissions. Like, I'm 38, that was not a thing. You didn't know that planes hurt Earth. Like, they didn't talk about it. We just got on them.
Yeah. It's faster.
Exactly. What's in the food and things about that. And then, to your point, learning about what companies are actually doing, the ones that they're telling you they're doing the right thing,
right,
which is a whole nother thing. So no, it's all needed. You know, we do need to have it at every asset, every vertical. You know, it is a kind of this whole thing is a bear.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So for Sarah, what is the right way to grow? Is it more policy going through and people saying more people need to do this now, and then all of nowhere you get a bunch of clients? Or is it these companies that do care just being more, I don't want to say aggressive, but more strategic about growth? You know, going, hey, I'm trying to change the world here. Mm-hmm. Let's get after it every single day. We need 8 more people, 20 more people, 30 more people, 40 more people. Do they work hand in hand, or is it kind of...
You got the big questions, huh?
I'm just trying.
I think it's you do what you can do.
Yeah.
So, the reason for me why it's important to be speaking to policymakers when I get the opportunity to do that is because, listen, at the bottom line, we want to help direct resources to the right places.
Yeah.
And the key to growth, honestly, I'm a practitioner and I'm a big believer in decentralized network systems, if there's a shorthand for saying what I think we can do.
Yeah.
I think we can establish successful circular economies in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And then, regionally, and then having those kind of connected strategies. So I'll give you an example of that would indicate growth for me. CERO is not looking to become the world's biggest hauler of compostable materials, right? Look at what we're doing. We're making a living, barely. We're getting somebody to pay us to pick up their material, and then we're paying to export it to the guy who turns it into composted soil products that we buy back from him. So now we've paid him twice. We're exporting it to him.
Yeah.
He's adding value to it, and then we're buying it back. I want all that to be us. Not necessarily CERO, but I want us to be a more local infrastructure.
Yeah.
I want us to be able to aim for vertical integration so that CERO Co-op, picks up the material and we process it ourselves. The urban solution for that is not windrow composting. That requires a lot of land. When we're going to be doing that, we're probably going to be driving distances to do it. Maybe we will in Brockton or who knows where, maybe get into windrow composting. But on the urban scale, you can create in-vessel closed container systems for processing food waste where we recover that gas locally on a half an acre site.
Yeah.
We can put in, 5,000 tons a year of material. And out of it, we get enough power to provide energy for 200 homes.
That's crazy.
We capture the methane. And then what else we get out of that is we get liquid fertilizer, probiotic plant food that we can market, sell. So what we want to do is keep the profitability of this green business proposition in-house. We also work with a lot of partners. So,
Okay.
So, we put forward a proposal that got a lot of interest. I don't know if you remember at the old Boston State Hospital in Mattapan, there was a 10-acre parcel of land. And proposals went, they made a request for proposals. And we brought our Green New Deal proposal to them, which consisted of CERO's anaerobic digester, which would process food waste, and also provide excess heat that we would convert to heat greenhouses, 10,000 square feet of greenhouses.
Yeah.
Jobs for people, healthy food growing in the community, using that food on site. We were working with City Fresh Foods.
Yeah. Yep.
They prepare good, healthy meals for 3,000 people a day. They were going to be co-located with us, right? So they get the greens out of the greenhouse, use them in good meals to feed people. What's left over gets composted with CERO again, and you've completed the food loop. CERO can heat the greenhouses and also provide fertilizer for the greenhouses as well as extra products for the community to buy.
These are things I'd never thought would be possible. I'm always on Universal Hub seeing Boston news and I look at development and it's like 90% of the real estate. It's like we don't need more condos that shoot way up into the sky. We're just stuffing people into areas. And I never questioned how things were configured. So growing up in Boston, everything's, concrete. There is green here, but it's, where the residential areas are, you're just like, oh no, we just live here. And there's farms that's like out there somewhere, right? And like we just eat whatever. You're just so detached from how things used to be.
Right. Detached from your food. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. We don't need concrete everywhere. You can actually grow stuff and, get rid of waste. You can actually have control over that. And I never saw that power or felt that
And
power.
there's so many exciting possibilities. I mean, vertical farming. These skyscrapers could be growing food.
Yeah.
On the walls.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's places where that's happening, right? I think it's a really excellent space in which you can be imaginative. But, you got to get the capital to follow it.
You do.
You got to get the investment. And, some of us believe that investment is waiting for places to be put. So, we're part of shovel-ready projects. Bring on that green economy. Put it. Not everything in Boston's wealth has to be about digital, Kendall Square, automated laboratory. There's a place for that stuff, but it's not all we need. We need landscapers. We need permaculture. We need hardscapes. We need ways of recovering our water better. And these are all jobs that we can build for the people of our community.
Yeah, we need different types of nerds. I just type on the computer all the time. When I see these robots online, like the ones that look like they're sentient, I'm like, well, they can do what I do. I literally just work on the robot.
You're looking at your replacement.
Yeah, but I agree. There's so much more than just Twitter's great, apps are great. There can be more things done, and that's stuff that you're gonna need.
Yeah.
If things didn't work the way they want, supply chains, and COVID exposed all that to me, so I'm like, yeah, we should have more trades. We should have more control over that. We shouldn't be buying every single thing from one guy in a cowboy hat who needed to go to space. Like, let's spread it around a bit. Have people working. Cities can sustain if it's, and I think a lot of that is going to be education.
Yeah.
Just teach people this is possible.
Yeah.
So. Wow, this has been awesome. This has been a very enlightening conversation. This is a type of conversation that can go on for hours.
Exactly, it's true. Wait for chapter 2 next time.
So I'll ask you this: how are things looking for you now in terms of environment and from an environment point of view, and also a worker point of view? I'll give for example my take. It's not looking good. Like 38, I'm like, because I'm aware. So I'm like, all right, I'm terrified. Let's get to work. But your experience and everything you've done past years at CERO and what you've been associated in the past, how do you see things now? How do you see us?
To be honest, is rough. I mean, we're being impacted by all the small business issues, but probably more so because we're a small BIPOC business.
Yeah.
We're persistently undercapitalized, even though we're grateful to our lenders, including Ujima. But, we don't have the money we need to build the capacity for the growth that we're already getting. So everybody's working too much, not getting paid the way we want to pay ourselves, not having enough benefits yet. It's always kind of like, we're going to get there. We're going to break even next year. We're going to be profitable in 23. And we are getting closer. But, some of us, especially those of us who have been around for a while, it's like we're getting tired.
Yeah.
Where's that reward? It's hard to hang in, and it's hard for our operations people who are out no matter what the weather is, getting the job done, working overtime because there's not enough truck drivers to hire. It's it feels like it's not fair, and sometimes you just keep going. Because, you got to get there and show how shiny it is on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, I still believe in it. I still believe in the dream. I know we're taking the good steps. I know we've learned so much. We're really pros at what we do. And we're getting more influence with more influential customers, and that track record is there. What we want to see is more of the reward hitting our workers, honestly.
That's our cue. That's my cue. That is for us. Let's do that. I feel like I should be helping, and people who care should be helping, and people who don't care should know why they should care, and go from there. But there should be the nice guys don't finish last. We should let's all pitch in on this. So I appreciate the transparency, and I'll do what I can to support CERO.
I appreciate you.
I will. I'm better on the destructive ends. Like if you want me to take out a competitor, or that's where I shine. But,
you want to come over and clean out some barrels? Hang out at the warehouse with the power washer?
I could do that too. So I hope to see those big rewards come sooner than later, so you can all get them, get a nice break.
Well, we got a place for your investment too. Those of you who are looking for places to put your dough, us and Ujima can help you figure that stuff out.
Nice. I'm a Ujima member too, and I gotta put more in.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. This was awesome. Oh, wait, what are we doing? I didn't know. It's COVID, so I get confused. We'll do both. Everyone, thank you. Thank the Boston Ujima Project for allowing this to happen, setting this up. Moonlighters Club, again, we'll have plenty of different types of interviews, but this one's a pleasure. I love just talking about things that need to be talked about. So,
thanks, Joel.
Lor, thank you again.
Appreciate
see you all
you.
next time.
Bye now.